The All-Star break is done, which means we got something on the horizon. NFL training camps are going to start up this week, and it's officially here for some NFL players. This season could define their entire career. Shador Sanders is trying to prove he's the Browns' franchise quarterback. CJ Stroud needs to take Houston deeper into the playoffs before earning a massive extension. Michael Penix Jr. has to win Atlanta's quarterback competition while Baker Mayfield's playing for another huge payday. And there's stars like Rashee Rice, Keon Coleman, Nick Bosa, who all have different reasons why 2026 is a make or break season. Every year, training camp creates breakout stars, exposes players who aren't ready. Biggest question is simple: who handles the pressure and who lets moments slip away? Training camp begins, and so does the pressure, Frank, as we get started to start talking about the NFL season right around the corner.
Yeah, NFL training camps are officially underway. And while every player is fighting for a roster spot or a starting role, some have much more than that on the line than others. For several players around the league, this season isn't just another year, it's a defining moment for their careers, whether it's proving they're franchise quarterbacks, earning massive contract extensions, or simply just trying to keep a job. The pressure has never been higher on some of these players.
Let's talk about the quarterback position. That's always a area of, high stress and high expectations, and it always dominates the conversation. Shador Sanders enters perhaps the biggest season of his young career in Cleveland. Browns are still searching for the franchise quarterback, and Sanders does have an opportunity to prove he is the answer. If he develops into a reliable starter, Cleveland may no longer need to spend another high draft pick on a quarterback. I've heard that for every quarterback they've had in the last, I don't even know, probably my entire life at this point. But if he struggles, the Browns could be right back in the quarterback market next offseason. For me, this is a make or break year for Shador Sanders. I thought he was smoke and mirrors in college. He does throw a good ball. He is very athletic. I don't necessarily know how it translates to the NFL. I thought that him getting drafted to Cleveland the Browns' reaction in their war room when he got drafted was so bizarre.
Especially after they picked Dylan Gabriel, too.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm kind of tired of this narrative already, like with Shador, and he might be the best quarterback in their quarterback room, considering everybody else that is there. But I just don't see him being an NFL quarterback year in and year out that can lead you to a Super Bowl. I mean, I think there's different tiers, and without getting through those tiers, I just don't see this working out for Cleveland this season. And I think they do end up having to draft another quarterback in the near future.
Yeah, I don't see it either, unfortunately for them. Cleveland's just been a revolving door for quarterbacks, and unfortunately, I don't think it changes much. Michael Penix Jr. in Atlanta, already feeling the pressure despite being a few seasons into his career. Falcons invested heavily in him, but now he has to beat out veteran Tua Tagovailoa while proving he's worthy of long-term commitment. That feels like a pretty big hill to climb. Tagovailoa wasn't necessarily horrific in Miami. Those concussions, though, kept mounting up for him, and it really kind of put him on the back foot there.
Atlanta's interesting too because they haven't really committed to any quarterback, right?
Other
They
than Matt
sign
Ryan,
they
no.
they sign Kirk Cousins and then they draft Michael Penix Jr. And then Michael Penix Jr.'s been okay in Atlanta after he took over for Kirk Cousins, but then they go out and get to a Tagovailoa on the free. I mean, they haven't been committed to really any quarterback since Matt Ryan, as you mentioned. And I wonder if the revolving door in the backup spot always rears its ugly head with this team, where they're always, where the starting quarterback's always looking over his shoulder. You want to be able to get competition and create competition and have guys be at their best, but you also don't want to have the starting quarterback worrying about what's behind him more than just focusing on himself in the future. So I don't necessarily know Atlanta's approach to the quarterback position has been good or ideal, but it's going to be interesting to see who wins that quarterback battle because, as you mentioned, like Tua wasn't bad. I mean, he's shown a lot of good signs in Miami. I think the biggest problem was he didn't have that great of an offensive line. The defense in Miami hadn't been very good. Yes, he was the benefit of a lot of weapons, but I think he's got potential to be pretty decent in Atlanta if he is protected. I think it's going to be an interesting quarterback battle there. But Then there's CJ Stroud in Houston. Now he's getting close to a contract, right? I mean, he's getting close to being off of his rookie deal. His first year, I thought when he got drafted, I thought he was the best going into the draft. I thought he was the best option in the NFL draft that year. He proved me right in the first year, but since then, he's been very mediocre for Houston. I think Houston's defense has been able to carry them to playoff aspirations the last couple of years. I mean, they haven't taken that next step. CJ Stroud hasn't taken that next step. And to me, this is a big question mark on whether or not CJ Stroud becomes a franchise quarterback or is just a quarterback that's pretty good that might have to bounce around a bunch of teams, give him to the playoffs, but he'll never be that guy to get you to the Super Bowl. This is a make or break year for that particular situation.
Yeah, he was a standout star in his rookie season. Had the issue with the first couple games and then just dominated from there. But he has really fallen off a cliff ever since then. So, speaking of which, there are a lot of other quarterbacks on this list. You want to just rapid fire through some of these here real quick?
Yeah, and I think as I look at it, like Daniel Jones in Indy, I'm not a big Daniel Jones believer. I think he had a good resurgence last year, but I don't think it's sustainable. Malik Willis, it's another guy that has bounced around in the league, and now he's in Miami. I don't think he's a franchise quarterback. Kyler Murray is now in Minnesota. Didn't work out in Arizona, but I don't think his body can take the hits that he needs in order to maintain himself as a starting quarterback. Geno Smith with the Jets, he's back with New York. I mean, he wasn't very good there to begin with. And then he goes to Seattle, kind of has a little resurgence. But everybody on this list, up into like Baker Mayfield, these are guys that can get you to the playoffs, but these are not quarterbacks that can win you a Super Bowl or get you to the Super Bowl. I think it's still out on Jaden Daniels, whether or not he could do it in Washington. I'm not even convinced Jalen Hurts is going to be able to survive, based on the fact that I think he was the benefit of a great defense in Philadelphia and having a lot of great weapons. So I think this group of quarterbacks that we just ripped through, they got the pressure to show whether or not they deserve a big contract and be considered a franchise quarterback. Some of them already have their contracts, but I'm not convinced that anybody in that group can safely say they're a franchise quarterback year in and year out.
And then there's the Jets who are trying the Geno Smith thing again. So that's fun. Older players looking for redemption. Buffalo receiver Keon Coleman admitted that this offseason is make or break for him. Rashee Rice has had much riding on his behavior off the field, just as much as his production on it. The Rams are dealing with Puka Nacua, who's also had his run of off the field issues. Brian Thomas Jr. in Jacksonville looking to bounce back after a difficult sophomore campaign. While Chicago's Rome Odunze hopes to stay healthy and he can finally emerge as Caleb Williams' true number one target.
Yeah, a lot of these guys, as you mentioned, I mean, I don't think I think make or break. I think it breaks for Keon Coleman. The Bills don't have a massive receiving core that's great. They don't have a lot of weapons, which is surprising considering the fact that they got Josh Allen over there.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't. Rashee Rice, you're Kansas City, man. Like, what are you still doing entertaining Rashee Rice? I mean, you could do better than that with the talent, with the leaders that you have over there. I don't know why they continue to deal with his off-field problems. When they got rid of Tyreek Hill, and he was one of those guys. I mean, and they were fine without him. They were able to win despite him. I think with Patrick Mahomes, you could bring anybody relatively into Kansas City and have success. Puka Nacua, I think he is, he plays at such a high level that teams are going to deal with his problems, but he has to put up more good years. Otherwise, I mean, eventually, sometimes the baggage catches up to the player, so there's a lot of interesting players in terms of these receivers trying to make the next step and get some redemption. I mean, Brian Thomas Jr. looked really good his rookie year, did not look as good as his sophomore year. Rome Odunze, again, kind of same thing. I think with the offense that the Bears have, he has an opportunity to be a lot better, but they got a lot of people they got to feed the ball to. Got a lot of mouths to feed in Chicago. So very interesting on some redemptions, but there's also some veterans fighting for one more payday in the National Football League.
Yeah, Chargers pass rusher Khalil Mack returns for what could be his final NFL season, still searching for his first playoff victory and one last Super Bowl run. Baltimore linebacker Roquan Smith is trying to prove that he has not begun to decline after the least productive season of his career. Nick Bosa in San Francisco returns from another knee injury with a new contract looming. And Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay enters the final year of his contract without an extension. A strong season could vault him into a group of quarterbacks making more than $50 million a year. Another down year could be trouble for Baker.
Yeah, what to watch for during training camp. Battles will dominate the headlines over the next several weeks. Can Shador Sanders establish himself as Cleveland's future? Will Michael Penix Jr. finally seize Atlanta's starting quarterback job? CJ Stroud, can he make them a Super Bowl contender in Houston? And which former first round picks finally break out? And which ones begin hearing the dreaded bust conversations? We will have all of that in the next couple of weeks or so as NFL football starts to show up again here in the United States.